So you fell in love, and it's time to pop the question. Now, you may have all kinds of romantic ideas on how you want to propose, like renting a jumbotron or waiving a positive pregnancy test. But in my book, nothing says marry me like a home-cooked meal. Well, that and saying marry me. On to the menu. For starters, a creamy lobster bisque, heightened with the delicate flavor of saffron and fresh chives. For the main, balsamic baby back ribs, served with truffled twice-baked potatoes so good, you could cheap out on the ring. For dessert, a dark chocolate soufflé, topped with smoked salt and drizzled with a sweet mint and almond pesto. Panos is gonna give us the goods on lobster.
Lobster is the most romantic, but octopus is better at dirty talk.
The spice agent reports on mint.
And I bring you warnings about getting married for a visa.
You're watching Nadia G's Bitchin' Kitchen, baby. Whoop, whoop! Now, lots of people make fun of getting married, but between you and me, who's gonna massage your cankles when you're 60? No, sir, not I. See, when you find a live one that loves you for you, seal the deal. It ain't about rainbows, it's about insurance. Let's get cooking. We'll start with our lobster bisque. Heat a large soup pot on medium. Throw in a tablespoon of unsalted butter, a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Now roughly chop 2 red onions, carrots, 2 ribs of celery, and smash 6 garlic cloves. Scaff the mirepoix in the pot. Add a big pinch of sea salt, some freshly cracked pepper, and saute for about 8 minutes. While that gets going, we'll make a dark roux to thicken our bisque. So, heat a small saucepan on medium, throw in half a cup of butter, half a cup of flour, and whisk for 6-7 minutes until it's amber colored and smells nutty. Good. Take it off the heat. Back to our mirepoix. Deglaze the pot with 2 ounces of brandy. And burn off the alcohol. Whew. Now we'll use one of my patented life techniques and put out liquor-induced fires with more liquor. Add a cup of good white wine and let it reduce for about a minute. Add 6 cups of organic vegetable stock, 1/3 of a cup of tomato paste, a handful of flat leaf Italian parsley, a sprig of thyme, 2 bay leaves, a couple of peppercorns. Now add the shells of 3 lobsters, roughly chopped, and top it off with just enough water to barely cover all the shells. Turn the heat down to medium-low and simmer, partially covered, for 1 hour. Here's Panos to teach us how to cook lobster.
Thanks, Nads. Lobster is the flavor king of all crustaceans, but it's also easy to overcook. And the last thing you want at a proposal dinner is a rubbery langosta, especially when you're already nervous about who your parents arranged you with, bro. It's too much. So here's how you cook a lobster perfect every time. First, get a big pot of water and bring it to a rolling boil. Throw the lobster in, head first, and cover. The second the water starts to boil again, count 10 minutes for a 1-pound lobster and 3 minutes for every pound after that. And she's gonna love it, bro. And remember, you can always shave a mustache.
Πιάνου μουστάκι!
Όχι αγάπη μου, λέω. Ήτανε στις μόντες τότε το μουστάκι.
Δεν τρέπεσαι ρε, με κάνεις ριζίλι! Περίμενα να θείς στο σπίτι να φας ξύλο!
Thanks, Panos. When we get back, we'll finish this bisque and talk a bit about the fear of commitment, so stay hungry. Welcome back to Bitchin' Kitchen's Proposal for a Proposal. Now, some people are just plain terrified of marriage, and I gotta admit, that whole 2 out of 3 couples gets divorced thing is pretty scary. But look at it this way. 3 out of 3 couples eventually die. Does that make you stop living? Ben no. Back to the bisque. Our broth has been simmering for about an hour. Now we're gonna strain it using a strainer and some cheesecloth. This smells so fantastic. You've sucked all the life out of the lobster shells. You don't want to waste one drop. maybe you do. Sakata, lobster broth. But it ain't biscuit. No. We're gonna add our dark roux, 1 cup of heavy cream, a big pinch of saffron, and let it reduce on medium-low for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's nice and thick. Time to reheat the lobster meat. Grab a nice big pan on medium-high. Scaff in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Let it melt. Add our lobster meat. Saute for about 1 to 2 minutes just until heated through. Beautiful. Grab a nice big bowl. Add our lobster meat. Make sure you get a cloth. Ladle on our creamy bisque. Top it off with some fresh chives. And bon appetit. Sweet, buttery lobster. So tender. And this bisque. Creamy with the delicate flavor of saffron and prenup leverage. It's delicious. It's time for our main course. Oven-roasted baby back ribs smothered in a sweet and tangy Bitchin barbecue sauce. Man, in my book, there's nothing more romantic than ribs. Except maybe tandem jetpacks. I too once longed for a tandem jetpack, but then I thought about it. Confusing air traffic, awkward landings in heels, and all for what? Just so you and your partner can soar into the sunset? It's not worth it, man. Think about it. Let's make our rub. In a big bowl, add 2 tablespoons of maple flakes, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, a tablespoon of cayenne, 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, and about 1 tablespoon of freshly cracked pepper. Add 3 minced garlic cloves. Now mince a handful of fresh flat leaf parsley and 1 sprig of fresh oregano. Mix it up. Place your ribs on a piece of foil. Brush them with some canola oil, because it has a high smoke point. Add a rub. And massage it in. Seal the ribs tightly. Scaff them on a baking sheet. And pop them into a 325-degree oven for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Onto our Bitchin balsamic barbecue sauce. Heat a pot on medium. Add 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, a shot of whiskey, half a cup of aged balsamic, minimum 7 years old. We've been through this. Half a cup of maple syrup, 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, 1 minced red onion, a minced garlic clove, and a minced habanero. Mix it up. And let it simmer for the same amount of time it takes to cook the ribs. While this reduces, here are the 3 signs you shouldn't marry that twit. 3 signs you shouldn't marry that twit. Number 3, they've got kids. Wait! From 3 different partners. Folks, it's pretty obvious that this nerd doesn't take commitment too seriously, so I suggest you get out before you become random gene set number 4. 3 kids shouldn't marry that twit. Number 2, they're an alcoholic, workaholic, gameaholic, and you don't like it. Listen, they're never gonna change. So either you get used to the 3-day benders or you get used to the fact that Dragon Lord 78 ain't the one for you. Dragon Lord shouldn't marry that twit. And number 1, you're gonna kill me for this one. They have no money. Look, I'm not trying to say they need to be rich or anything. All I'm trying to say is, if their ambitions haven't come into financial fruition by the time you're talking marriage, I doubt they ever will. Abstract art films may be cute. Abstract mortgage payments? Not so much. Art films shouldn't marry that twit. When we get back, we're gonna make some truffled twice-baked potatoes and attack these ribs with our face. Stay hungry. Welcome back. Marriage is all about perseverance and compromise. Your wife perseveres until you compromise. If you don't like them potatoes, you can always console yourself with these. Here I've got 2 russets that I baked in foil for about an hour at 350. Slice them up and scaff the innards in a bowl. Try and be patient when you're scooping out the potato flesh. It takes a little while. Then again, you're getting married, right? Same person, day after day after day, years and years, years and years. Add a splash of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, a tablespoon or 2 of truffle oil, a handful of scallion greens, a handful of freshly minced flat leaf parsley, generous pinch of sea salt, freshly cracked pepper, and whip it up. Stuff this goodness back into the skins. Wrap them up in foil. And then we're gonna pop them into a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes just to heat through. Let's get our ribs out of the oven. I can't wait. Oh, these smell amazing. All that garlic and those herbs. Fall off the bone tender these ribs are. We're just gonna slather them with our Bitchin balsamic barbecue sauce. Now, we'll broil them at 500 degrees for about 5 minutes, just until the sauce is bubbling and caramelized. Oh, yes. Slap a bunch of baby spinach on a plate. We'll place our ribs on top. Look at that. Get our truffled twice-baked potato on the side. Woo! And scoff. What? You expect me to describe a dish when I'm eating ribs? Yeah, okay. You're on your own for this one. Deedle, deedle. For dessert, we're making a dark chocolate souffle with smoked salt, served with a sweet mint and almond pesto. Now, don't be intimidated by souffle. It may sound all fancy, but in fact, it's super easy to do. Check it. Heat a double boiler on medium-low and dump in 3/4 of a cup of good dark chocolate. Now that our chocolate is melted, take it off the heat and let it cool for about 10 minutes. Here I've got 3 egg yolks and 6 egg whites. To our yolks, add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, a generous pinch of smoked salt, and mix it up. Let's make some meringues. To our 6 egg whites, add half a teaspoon of white vinegar. This replaces cream of tartar. Ta-ding. And whip it up until stiff peaks form. And this is what I call meringues. You see that? Good stuff. Now, we're gonna fold in our melted chocolate to our yolks. Be careful not to cook the eggs. That's why we let it cool a bit. Now, delicately fold in the meringues. You just want to fold about 10-15 times. Don't go all crazy and deflate the meringues. See, this is what it's supposed to look like, all streaky with little bits of meringue. This is what makes a souffle light, so don't freak out. Grease 4 ramekins with unsalted butter. About a half teaspoon will do it. Now dust them with granulated sugar and tap off the excess. Scaff in our souffle mixture. And bake at 375 for 16 minutes. Not a minute more. Set a timer if you have to. We're gonna drizzle these soufflés with a sweet mint and almond pesto. So here's the spice agent with his mint report.
Thank you, Nadia. Today's spice mint, or as we say, menta. The essential oil in mint makes you feel cool and fresh. But take advantage before you marry, Habibti, for you will feel cool and fresh. No more. Trust me, when Berta proposed to me, I tell myself, she may not be so attractive, or a woman, but America was shining in my eyes. So I called my lawyer mechanic and he told me, Cheskel, it's not worth it. First of all, they changed it from 3 years to 7 years of marriage just for visa. And still, no guarantee. The best thing, register for 2 classes at UCLA. This will give you a 2-year student visa, allowing you to work 23 hours a week legally. And if Lou Dobbs asks, you did not see nothing. Hear nothing.
Thanks,
Cheskel Mizrahi.
When we get back, we'll polish these soufflés, huh? Woo! I forgot one of those signs. You shouldn't marry that twit. They spray tan.
Spray tan, marry that twit!
And we're back with Bitchin' Kitchen's Marry Me meal. Now, I've always been pretty brass tacks when it comes to marriage, and it may have something to do with my parents sleeping in separate bedrooms ever since I can remember. Don't worry, it was just the usual stuff. Dad snored and Mom hated him. But despite these trivialities, they stuck with it, because they knew that for better for worse, they had each other. As the old Italian saying goes, it's better to be miserable together than to be happy alone. We got our dark chocolate soufflés baking in the oven. Now we're gonna make some sweet mint and almond pesto. Dump in a 1/4 cup of almond slivers and shake them around until they're nice and golden. Keep an eye on them though. Wait too long and they'll get burned. Kinda like you if you wait too long to get that ring. Let me explain. See, in the first year of a relationship, you could propose with a freaking twisty tie and get away with it. But with every year that passes, your boyish charm starts competing with your inability to clean the beard hair from the bathroom sink. Simple math, boys. I'd say half a carat on that ring for every year you wait. Watch them nuts. Now, pesto is usually made with oil. But since we're making a sweet pesto, we're gonna replace the oil with simple syrup. Too easy. Heat a pan on medium, throw in half a cup of water and half a cup of raw sugar. Simmer for 5 minutes and let it cool completely. In a food processor, add 3/4 of a cup of fresh mint, or toasted almond slivers, and get it going. Now stream in a 1/4 cup of our simple syrup. Good. Okay, crunch time. See, soufflés fall fast, so you need everything to be ready when they're ready. Like my grandmother used to say. But what do we know about soufflés? We're Italian. Oh, artfully decorate a plate with a spoonful of our sweet mint and almond pesto. Art is in the eye of the beholder, huh? Next, well, we all know what's next. I mean, it's the last dish, last call. Drink down a shot for courage, because it's time to propose. So nice. Nobody saw nothing, okay? Moving on. Now, some of you may be tempted to hide the ring in the food. I never understood this strategy. Me, I get so hungry when I see dessert that chewing is optional. That being said, I suggest you present the ring on bended knee in a non-edible container. It's time. Wow. So light and fluffy with our molten chocolatey center, contrasted with crispy bits of smoked salt. Never mind a partner. I'm marrying this soufflé. Today we cooked up a proposal for a proposal, where we proposed a proposal meal for when you're ready to propose. Now, popping the question can be scary, but all good things are scary. Well, some bad things are scary too there. What was my point again? Oh yeah, well, when you meet that special someone, you'll know. And when the time is right, I know that this meal is gonna get you the yes you're looking for. No need to thank me, just invite me to the bachelorette.
Me too.
Auguri, e alla prossima!